Look around and you'll see humanity cast in a sepia rainbow, a beautiful, sweeping spectrum of rich browns, warm olives, and pale pinks. But this diversity is a relatively recent development. Millions of years ago, our distant primate ancestors shared a single trait. Under their thick, dark body hair, their skin was pale. That changed when early hominins moved out of shaded forests and into hot, open grasslands. To survive the heat, they had to cool down efficiently. They evolved the ability to sweat and shed their dense coats of hair to let that moisture evaporate. Suddenly, their naked skin was exposed to a relentless, invisible threat, the intense ultraviolet radiation beating down from the equatorial sun. Shedding our fur solved the problem of overheating, but it left our biology defenseless against this incoming solar energy. For a long time, scientists assumed that darker skin evolved primarily to protect early humans from the severe peeling damage of sunburns and the threat of skin cancer. But the math on that theory doesn't hold up. Skin cancer typically strikes later in life, well after our ancestors would have already passed on their genes. From an evolutionary perspective, it couldn't exert enough pressure to drive a species-wide change. The real danger was circulating right below the surface. Intense ultraviolet radiation penetrates naked skin and actively breaks apart folate, a crucial B vitamin flowing through our bloodstream. Folate is biological gold. Our bodies require it for DNA synthesis, healthy fetal development, and sperm production. Without a way to shield their blood from the sun, the ability of early humans to reproduce would have failed. The body responded by deploying a natural parasol, melanin. This is the pigment responsible for coloring our eyes, hair, and skin. The catalyst for this defense was the MC1R gene. It acted like a biological thermostat, dialing up the production of a dark, dense form of pigment called eumelanin. These eumelanin molecules form protective caps over our skin cells, physically absorbing incoming UV rays before they can reach the bloodstream and destroy the circulating folate. This genetic defense was so suited to life near the equator that for hundreds of thousands of years, all humans were dark-skinned. This deep pigmentation was a life-saving biological armor, precisely calibrated to ensure our survival. As human populations eventually migrated out of Africa, they pushed further north into the higher latitudes of Europe and Asia. In these northern environments, they encountered a drastically different climate. The solar radiation that once beat down on them year-round became weak and scarce, especially during the long winters. This revealed a biological paradox. While heavy UV radiation destroys folate, a very specific type of solar energy, UVB, is required for our skin to synthesize vitamin D. Vitamin D is non-negotiable for human health. Without it, our bodies cannot absorb the calcium required to build strong bones or maintain a functional immune system. The melanin shield that kept humanity alive at the equator was now effectively blocking the tiny, vital amounts of northern sunlight needed to stay healthy. This lack of vitamin D took a devastating physical toll, causing crippling bone development diseases like rickets in children. The evolutionary pressure to adapt was immense. The human genome solved this crisis by dialing back melanin production. In European populations, this happened through specific genetic mutations, notably in a gene called SLC24A5, which resulted in depigmented skin. Meanwhile, populations migrating into East Asia achieved this same goal through different genetic variations, like mutations involving the MSFSD12 gene. Evolution encountered the same problem and solved it multiple times. By losing pigment, paler skin acts as a transparent biological window. It allows those scarce northern UVB rays to penetrate the barrier and trigger the production of vitamin D. For populations living in the middle latitudes, the body found a seasonal compromise. They evolved the ability to tan, increasing pigment during sunny summers to protect folate, and fading in winter to gather vitamin D. The global spectrum of skin color we see today is essentially a geographic map of human survival. It represents our ancestors balancing the protection of folate against the synthesis of vitamin D, based on their latitude. These precise genetic adaptations took hundreds of thousands of years, slowly calibrating specific populations to their local solar environments. But today, we can step onto an airplane and change our solar environment in a matter of hours.
We cross latitudes faster than our DNA could ever adjust.
This creates what biologists call an evolutionary mismatch. We are suddenly existing under solar conditions that our inherited genetics were not engineered to handle. Our modern mobility has outpaced our biology, turning a trait that was once a geographic advantage into a potential health liability. When people with northern adapted, pale skin live in or visit sunny equatorial zones, they face risks. Their transparent skin allows intense UV radiation to deplete their folate levels and increases their risk of skin cancer. And the inverse is just as true. When people with dark, pigmented skin live in cloudy northern latitudes, their natural UV shield prevents them from making enough vitamin D, leading to deficiencies. Fortunately, we no longer have to wait thousands of years for our genes to catch up. We use cultural and medical tools, like sunscreen and vitamin supplements, to compensate for these mismatches when our skin cannot. Skin color exists as a fluid biological record, a history of how our ancestors negotiated a treaty with the sun. Regardless of our external shade, the underlying biology proves that we are one deeply connected species, shaped and sustained by a single star.